Hi, I'm Nigel the Shanghai Psychic. I can tune into your loved ones in the spirit world, but I can also tune into you, tell you about your path and the choices that you need to make and need to know. I'm currently giving 30% discount on all Tell Craig Your Story listeners. Just use the code Tell Craig Your Story for 30% off your first psychic reading with me online at Nigel the Shanghai Psychic.
Hello everyone, Craig here. Welcome to another edition of the podcast, Tell Craig Your Story. Today we'll be speaking to Ying Li. Now Ying is born and raised in China. She now resides in Shanghai and she's a regular comedian on the Shanghai circuit. In 2021 she received the award for the English Stand-Up New Faces Award, and she hosts the open mic night at the Cotton Restaurant, which promotes up-and-coming comedians in Shanghai. Now, Ying has performed live in Hangzhou, Shenzhen and Nanjing as well. But before we go, please go to our website. We're at Podbean. Tell Craig Your Story at podbean.com. We have a link tree there which tells you where Tell Craig Your Story podcast is streaming. We are on all the major streaming services. We also have all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have a YouTube channel there. Make sure you're subscribing to get all the latest updates, because I know that some of you out there would prefer to watch the video. And we also have WeChat for our Chinese listeners and VK for our Russian listeners at Tell Craig Your Story. Alright, here we go. This is my chat with Ying Li on Tell Craig Your Story podcast. Hi Ying, how are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing very, very good, thanks. I actually saw you perform, was it last week, at Cotton's? Actually, it was great to see that you're sort of promoting like the young comedians here in Shanghai. So first off, just tell us a little bit about how that all come about.
All right. First of all, thank you for having me. And I did not know you were in the audience. Were you?
Yes. I turned up late. Yes, but I was there.
Last week was
open,
Joanne was.
The open mic. Yes.
All right. So
I couldn't stop laughing.
all right, yeah. Oh, you turned up. So like, who did you see actually? Like, I don't know how late you were.
We turned up pretty late, a couple of friends, and then we sat at like the front, and but I saw him, and then there was a couple of the newer people as well. So I got a good mix of super experienced, and then a couple that it was their first turn, so it was a real mix of all different comedians. But how did this all come about?
I actually took this over from Ben Frank.
All right, there you go.
Yeah. He used to run this Tuesday open mic at Eight Pines, and before Eight Pines, there were a couple of other venues. And then he left, so then I just took over, just for us to have a place and spot to practice. That's it. Yeah.
And like for people who don't know, like the open mic is like trying like new jokes out, getting a bit of experience behind your belt. Yeah.
Yeah, open mics is a safe spot for everybody.
Yeah.
From first timers to the very experienced, like Joanne last week, to test new materials and to work on some bits that still need some work on for, let's say, showcases.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't test, you don't know, at least at this level. Maybe those very, very seasoned comedians, they don't do like open mics as regularly as we do.
Right.
But like in here, everybody's kind of new.
Mm. And the guy that went after the more experienced guy, he just froze. He
Mm.
said his first joke and then he just froze and he said, I can't top that.
Mm.
And then he just walked off the stage. So,
I was in the toilet. I actually didn't. When I came out, he was already standing there, and then like I had to get up. Yeah, so that was yeah. Anything could happen at open mic.
yeah.
That's yeah.
And was he planned to come, or because like he's been on like talk shows all through the US? Was it like a random?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm in Shanghai. I want to do some shows,
Mhm.
or
Like when he stops by,
mm,
he usually will get on a mic. He's a very humble comedian with that much experience, and every time he comes, he's like, yeah, can I get on?
yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, so we're very
No,
glad.
you can't. No, you can't. No, we're fully
You're,
booked.
you're too good. You're too good for this mic.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
It's also great to watch somebody that seasoned, you know,
yeah.
because we don't have many in this country, you know.
And speaking of first time on stage, can you remember the first time you actually did your first performance?
Yeah, very vividly. That
Tell
was
us about
2019, September 27th, 3 days after I moved to Shanghai. I was still staying at a hostel. I before that I came to Shanghai like a month ago. When it's a long story, but long story short, back then I had just moved back to China from Malaysia for a year, and then I was living in my sister's city in the northeast called Changchun. I wasn't happy there. There was
it. Right.
nothing much going on there, and
Except
then
spicy food.
it was not spicy at all.
Oh, really? All right.
It's in the northeast.
Oh,
It's not spicy. Um, and then like I went back to Malaysia twice, and then I think I stopped by Shanghai. I just wanted to move here. I actually met somebody who was doing comedy in China when I was in Malaysia. So he was performing in Malaysia. I was watching comedy there, and then he was like, "When you come back, you come check us out." It was kung fu comedy, but
right.
when I moved to Shanghai, it was already gone. So I think I got a little bit nudge here and there. Just started doing it. I think I got a lot to just get out of my chest because I was having problems re-entering the country. Um, and then I didn't care to be funny. I just wanted to
Get
get
it
it
up there.
out of my chest. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And also I saw them doing comedy. It makes you feel that it's a very inclusive community, like anybody can try. And comedians are usually very encouraging when they see new people want to try on a mic. So,
Yes.
and I'm like, hey, why not? I like talking and I like humor, and this is a cool community. So that's
And
where I started.
sometimes it's half the fun when someone goes up there and they make a fool of themselves. That's funny as well. Like, let's go back a little bit.
I was born and raised on a farm in a village in the northeast. Back then, it was a very in the 1980s. It was a very remote village, and I made it out to go to college, and then I had lived in a couple of cities in China, and I decided to go see the world, um, and I don't know, maybe professionally to grow as well. So I went
Mm,
to Malaysia and I did my master's there. Then I worked there for another 3 years, and then in 2018 I came back to my sister's city in the northeast,
right.
which I didn't like. It was nice to spend a year with her and more time with my grandparents who still live in the village and some of my relatives.
Right.
But there's not much to do. Also, it's hard to fit in
Yes.
because yeah, yeah, it's pretty much like I don't know, everybody is living the same kind of life. You get married, you have children, you work for your children, you pay mortgage.
That's a very interesting thing that what you just said, because the topic is dating
Mm,
in China,
mm,
and I had the three foreign people, and then I'm gonna get three Chinese people to sort of talk about that. And one of the things that we talked about was the pressure of the female girls in China. They get to like a certain age, and it's like, okay, you've got to get married, otherwise they won't sort of like you, the boys.
mm,
So, did you have that sort of pressure sort of growing up?
hmm I cannot speak for all the women and all the men, but I think men are also Chinese men are also
Yes,
a lot of pressure as well, probably even
yes,
more
financially.
expectation to be successful.
Hmm.
So they're like they're modern men, but they're also under traditional pressure for men as well. Yeah. For women, it's the same. Yeah. I think my family is generally speaking more open-minded, but I do feel the societal pressure. Even this was 10 years ago when I decided to go to Malaysia. I was 28, and I had worked for 5 years, and professionally, I didn't see myself going further with that company. So I wanted to grow my like professionally, but also I hadn't got a chance to see the world, and I think I
Right.
had the like at that time I had the financial ability myself to go do it, and emotionally mature to do that myself, and like just more independent. And also I was thinking, oh, I'm 28, I'm not involved with the person seriously. uh I cannot find anybody good. I'm sorry, that's how I thought. And I'm like, I can't find anybody that, yeah. And then I'm like, yeah, I might as well just change my
Hmm.
pond of water.
Let's actually go back then. Let's go back to where you were born. So, what was the village again that you said that you were born in China?
Mm-hmm. I was born in 1984. So back then it was a pretty bad, I wouldn't say, yeah, pretty backward actually. Pretty backward. It was like I think half an hour to a town. Okay.
All right.
We call it a city, but like it's just a town. And yeah, I grew up watching like a 14-inch black and white TV, and
Yeah.
that's
Right.
yeah,
Wow.
that was one of the first televisions in the village that my father bought.
Yeah.
So
Right.
when I was small, there were so many people coming to our house to watch TV together.
Right. So what did your mum and dad do for a living?
Okay, that's a good question. So they were not farming. When I was younger, my father, uh, like both my parents didn't go to middle school because of the situation they were in. Both of them were first child of the family, and both of them were very selfless. They put their younger siblings first. Basically, that's every, you know, first child does.
Yes.
Like, yeah, you gotta help the family. And then because they have like five, six, seven children.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, if just two parents working, yeah, you can't make ends meet. And
What about if they have seven children, but isn't the policy one?
oh,
Wouldn't be
that's my
one?
parents' time. Like,
Oh, right.
yeah, they were like my parents. My mom is 70, my father is 68.
Right.
So back then it's normal to have five,
Uh,
six, seven children.
right. Good.
Yeah, and then so they're like my father's youngest sibling got an education. So because everybody paved the way for him.
Yeah. Right.
And I definitely see my parents brilliant enough to get an education themselves, but
Yes.
they chose to sacrifice themselves. So, but with that said, they were not doing a lot of farming, just a little bit of it. My father was pretty entrepreneurial. So when I was younger, he would uh, travel to Inner Mongolia
Yeah. Right.
and to buy their horses and cows and just ship them back uh, to sell in our village or in the villages nearby because yeah, those cows and horses were better in Inner
Right.
Mongolia. So he would actually travel for sometimes months, like a month or half a month with his friends with all the cash, like every time I would remember like at midnight. I don't know why every time he's like l- he left early in the morning, my mom will just like sew a big pocket uh, and then underneath his clothes and then put all the cash in. Yeah, back then I think
No thanks.
yeah, he could use like 30,000 kwai and go there and buy like 30 cows, like
Yeah.
1,000 per cow, and then just ship them back on the train with his friends, and it would take days for them to arrive because it was slow. Sometimes horses as well, and those horses would tend to escape. Sometimes they broke a leg, and then they just it sounds very adventurous, like
Yeah.
every time what he did, and yeah, he was one of the first few people to do things like that. So they were not farming, but this last and we were pretty affluent. Yeah, in the village. My father would go to the town to not do some shopping. Also, my mom's relatives were living in the city, and they were having something like a recycling company.
Right.
They would come to the village, and they would purchase, let's say, goat's hair or sheep hair and use
Yeah.
that to, I don't know, for wool or
Yeah.
something. So
Yeah.
every summer, like not summer, even May, they would uh drive to our place and stay there for a month to do that because there are so many people that raised sheep and goats, and then that's the season when you have to cut their hair off because it's hot.
Ah.
Yeah, and then they will be stationed in your family for a month, and that's something new, fresh air, I think, because those people were like city people,
Yeah.
and then and they would and they also enjoy being in the village,
Yeah.
because like it's a change for them,
Yeah.
eating something organic and
Oh yeah.
socializing with farmers. So they enjoyed it so much, and they would teach me how to sing songs and stuff. Yeah, so it's very exciting, and like a lot of people in the village, they really admire us having that opportunity to have this, you know, this like interactions with people that are not from there, and also they're doing something nice for the villagers as well.
That was, and I had yeah, you're saying all this, and it's just bringing back so many good memories. Like my first job here in China was I would go to, it was an online English teaching company, and we had a license to go into the public schools, and it wasn't the big cities, it was the rural villages. And we'd go in there and set up a big TV for them and do online classes for them. But I would actually go and visit them. So yeah, I was in a little village called Juchong, and we every school in Shandong, it was near Weifang,
Uh,
and every school in this village we had our English teaching company there. So yeah, I would go past this school, and there was a shop there, and it was a goat, and there was four goats on the back of the truck on the ute. And instead of like going in the backyard, or going outside into the farming area, they just did it out the front of the shop, and they skinned the goat, and then they just started cutting it up, and it was like, oh, that's, I'm this city guy. It's all of a sudden it's like,
mm,
wow, we're not in Shanghai anymore. So, but what an experience, and
yeah.
I got to do meet all the educational people there, and instead of doing business first, you
Mm,
would find a restaurant and you'd sit there, and then it'd be like, bye Joe, and
mm,
lots and lots and lots and lots of food. and then you'd get drunk with these business guys, and then the next day you'd do business with them, and it's like, this is just crazy. I'm just living on a different planet. But yeah, what an experience. And I met some of the smartest kids that lived on these villages. Their English was perfect, but all their family were farmers. So I hope they get the opportunity or scholarships to sort of get out there. So was that a sort of an issue for you? Like, were you very good at school?
So me, my brother, my sister, I have an older brother, older sister.
Hmm.
I think my parents always had this vision that all of us would go get an education.
Yes.
And then I think I don't know, we did pretty well at school without even trying that hard.
Yeah, right.
When we were like a kids in primary school and middle school. Because my mom actually came from an intellectual family.
Hmm.
Her family was just being very smart.
Right.
Um, but because of some historical reasons, they ended up being in the village. So she met my father. They were not supposed to cross paths at all.
Right.
Yeah, they were not from my father's side was always farmers. My mom's
Right.
side was never. Yeah, I think when they met and they got married, they were pretty much on the same page, I guess. So, yeah, my brother was extremely intelligent, and I think I just followed his footstep, and he was like very proud of me since I was in kindergarten. He was
Yeah.
6 years older than me, and he was like a famous boy at school.
Yeah, right.
He, yeah, yeah, he outperformed the teachers because
Yeah.
like it's a village
Wow.
school, and the teachers were I mean like I'm very grateful for what they've done for us, but by today's standard they were not qualified to be teachers.
Yes. Yes.
They were just like some people in the village
Just a job for
that
them.
happened to went to go to high school, and
Right.
then right. So he was really popular at school, and I was just following him everywhere, and I think it was natural for me to follow his footsteps. um so all of us got an education. It was not surprising for other people as well in the village, because they knew my parents were different, so they were like, yeah, their kids will go to college.
When you were in school, were you that confident girl that could go up onto a stage, or was that something that you sort of built up when you started doing comedy?
Hmm. Yeah, it's a very good question. I think when I was a kid, um, my parents were very encouraging for me to sing and stuff, so I would do that. And in primary school too, whenever I get a chance, and I was not even good at singing, but my teacher would always ask me to teach the class how to sing.
Right.
Yeah, but I think when I was a teenager, I got a little bit shy because you're a little bit more self-conscious.
Yes.
And then high school, you basically had no chance to do public speaking and stuff. It was all exam. And then college, I think I gradually got back that confidence I had when I was a small kid. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Was-
I think I had it in me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then going into a university, or college, did you have to move from your
Mm.
village? Where did you go to?
When I was 16, I left the village to attend a boarding school in that small town.
Right.
So I could only visit my parents once a month for 2 days. That was the biggest challenge. That's when I started feeling homesick. And also, that's the first time I felt that I was uprooted. And to live in the city, I felt people were pretentious.
Right.
Because in the village, everyone was friendly, up forward, like straightforward, and then you get there's no room for being fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there bullying there? Like when you went to the city, like you being like a village girl, was there any sort of pressure there?
I don't think there is bullying. I think there is maybe some people have a sense of a privilege or a superiority,
Yes.
but but you know, you can always feel that you're smart and that
Yes.
you're, and you're like, I'm not affected, but doesn't mean that you're happy. You
Yeah.
still expect to have that same dynamics that you had when you were, in your old environment. Yeah. But I think I was all right. I was also not interested in socializing because I'm like, I'm here. If I don't go to college, I'm going back to the farm, and I don't want to go back to farming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you did graduate, what was the plan there? Were you looking for work, or you wanted to do more study, or traveling, or what was the sort of plans there when you finished?
Mm-hmm. I think typically for Chinese people, kids, when they finish, like you're expected to get a job, get
Mm.
married. That was then. So I graduated college. I was thinking of doing the same, like meet somebody through blind dating or
Yeah.
somebody introduce a person to you. But that did not happen that way. It's not a script written for everybody.
Yes.
Right.
But I have heard that like maybe not so much yeah, from Australia, but I've heard that like the parents is trying to sort of set people up
Mm.
here
Mhm.
in China. Is that sort of like a common thing? And did your parents
Mhm.
do that as well?
Yeah, I wish my parents could do that for me so that I wouldn't be single, but they only know farmers.
Right. And it saves you doing online dating or going to a bar, right?
Yeah, they only know farmers, and I don't want to go back and farm. Yeah, so if they could, they would.
Yes.
Definitely. I think if they could, they would. It's very funny, when I was studying in Malaysia, I met so many friends, classmates from different countries. Like, let's say I met a lot of people from Pakistan.
Right.
And yeah, and the guys and girls, they were so surprised. They were like, "How come there's so many single people in China? Don't you guys have family members, cousins, friends that just hook you up and or arrange something for them? Like it's like in their country, nobody is gonna left,
Right.
you know? Nobody's gonna be, it's just not like here. I think China is, you know, transitioning from a traditional society to something very Western,
Yes.
something very Western. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's not like a India. India is
Yes.
transitioning, but they're still following a lot of their traditions when it comes
Yes.
to dating and marriage. But for us, we transition from the traditional, you know, society to something very different. So it's
Yes.
like there's no middle ground, you know? Like let's say um now it's 2020. Like maybe 20 years ago, probably there were no single people. You're either, married or maybe widowed. Right. Right. But now it's just very different, you know?
Yeah, it's yeah, very different. And but it was going back to what we spoke about before about the pressures of a girl that's turning 30 and mum and the parents just saying, hurry up, time is ticking. So yeah, have you had any sort of experiences like that?
I've never paid anybody.
Yeah,
I would like to be paid to be
yeah,
some
that's right. That's
fake
right.
girlfriend. I would do it.
Yeah.
So
Boy.
no, I don't. I think yeah, because every family is different. I don't think for my family I had to do that. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you did go to Malaysia, what was your sort of experience, first like expectations, and then actually getting there? What was that sort of
That
first feelings, and
that
what do
was
you?
a very good question. Cause that was my first time going and studying and staying and living in a foreign country.
The eyes wide open?
Right. Yeah, I was expecting Malaysia to be like Australia and America, but
Right.
it's completely different society. And I was for my first week, I was a little bit bummed because this is nothing like Australia or America. Because like I met some local students And from your first conversation, you just realize, oh, this is a different society because they were very curious about international student as well. So the first few questions they will ask is like, how old are you?
Right.
What's your religion?
Yeah. Sorry, their religion is Muslim, right? Is it Muslim?
Uh,
Majority?
for yes,
Yeah.
for because Malaysia is a multi ethnic country.
Mm.
There are majority of them are Malays, so they are born Muslims.
Right.
Okay, but the more, how to say, I wouldn't say open-minded, but the mild ones compared to the extreme ones. Uh, but the country is getting, when I was there towards the end, it was getting more Islamic. Right. So yeah, it was not like I think the peak time for Malaysia was in the 1990s or maybe early 2000. It was flourishing,
Mm.
it was, uh, because I have friends and professors, they also missed that period of time. They were more like diverse, like usually like people from this different ethnic groups, they got along well, and that's what made that country good at that time. But they lost that. So yeah. And then, the Indians and Chinese and minorities felt that they were second class citizens. So there was tension between all these groups, and that also affected how you feel as a foreigner there. Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
Mm.
And did it take you sort of, how long did it take you to finally settle in? That took you take you a while to do that, or was it
I think we
just?
live in a foreign country, every day there's something new. Yeah, but for me to accept that this is this is not, it is Malaysia because it's Malaysia. It's different from other countries. And then you came here for experience, not comfort. That was always in me.
Yeah.
When I went there, I'm like, I'm not here for comfort. I'm here for experience.
Yes.
So yeah, there are challenges here and there. That's why it's exciting. And I think I'm a adventurous person, when it comes to, meeting people
Mm.
and then yeah, enriching your experience. So I don't think it took me that long. Also, I've met really, really great people that I
Yes.
could learn a lot from. Like one of my professors saying that because yeah, he studied in America, so he could relate to our experience. So it's like when you are living in a foreign country, you do not expect the locals to accommodate you. You have to do the work yourself, especially when there's a lot of difference because you're the more adventurous one. You came all the way there. You are not sitting around waiting for people to accommodate your need and stuff. Yeah, so I think that changed my mindset.
Yeah. Do you
Mm.
have a highlight of Malaysia? And
No,
how long did you stay there for?
I was there for 6 years.
6 years, right?
Yeah. um
And sorry, did you do any more traveling after that? Like once you went to Malaysia, normally you catch the sort of like the travel bug. Did you get
yeah.
an opportunity to go elsewhere?
All right. Yeah, when I was studying, I did not do much because I was a sponsor myself financially, so you got to save money.
Right.
But after I started working, I did, like nearby countries of Thailand, Indonesia, um, yeah, it's just some Vietnam, right? These countries, yeah.
And
Um,
what did you think of Southeast Asia? Because then again, compared to Malaysia and
mhm,
China, they're a totally different world as well.
mhm.
So
I loved it.
yeah.
Yeah, I love the weather, the
Mm.
climate, the tropicalness, and the greenery, how much nature it has, and also how laid back people are.
Yes.
Very chill. Yeah, at first it took me a while to accept that they are not working as much as Chinese people. Like, here almost nothing stops, nothing closes. Even banks work on weekends, but there it's a different vibe. So, like, why are we working that much? when we
Yes.
have the nature, when we have the resources, we just chill and enjoy life. And after a while, I'm like, hey, yeah, this is cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
why do we have to become workaholics?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That there's more to life than just work. And I try and tell them all the time. They just don't listen. They don't listen to me.
Nobody is gonna listen to me.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
You have a 5-day holiday, but then you've got to
Mm.
work.
Yeah, the makeup holidays are just crazy and stupid. Like when I was in Malaysia, nothing at all. Like
Yeah,
you're supposed to have 5 days off, you end up having 9 days off.
that's it.
Yeah, right. So you don't. So I was like, I was
This
like,
is easy.
I was saying that here they're just showing off that they're better at mathematics. They can do all the calculation with with all the makeup holidays. And like, what's the point? Yeah. So I don't. Yeah, I still find it hard to to reaccept some of the things that I grew up with.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you come back to China. Did you say 2018 that you come back?
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously for anyone, but especially China. But you're a local. So what were the difficulties coming back? Like you said, there was troubles with your visa, or what
hmm
were the issues there?
Like a reverse culture shock. I think
Yeah.
everybody. Yeah, everybody experienced that. I think the lifestyle,
Yeah.
basically. Lifestyle, as I said, like how much people work and how little people talk. I mean, really, really talk. Because when I was in Malaysia, we had so much free time. Like
Yeah.
so much. You spend so much time doing nothing with your friends. Like you meet up with a friend, and you can hang out for the whole day.
Yeah.
You have nothing to rush to. Yeah. Here, like you're constantly anxious about something,
Yes.
right? They're like it's just pure inner peace, I would say. Yeah, more inner peace, more holidays, less financial pressure. And also I was living as a foreigner there, so I had not much of a responsibility. Yeah, but coming back here, I just feel that all my friends, the local friends, so they were all basically either married or divorced.
Mm.
With
Yes.
with the kids and family and relationships, in-laws, work, and career. So it's all problems.
Yeah. I can totally relate to it. I went back to Australia just recently. I just come back. So when did you make the decision to come to Shanghai?
Like a year after I moved back to my sister's city. Yeah, it was time.
So where were you when the first COVID broke out? And for you,
hmm
tell us about your situation and how you sort of dealt with that period.
I was in that was just a few. I moved here at the end of September, and
Mm.
it happened in January.
Right.
Yeah. And also, my parents and my brother, they live in Hubei province.
Mm.
Like, yeah, it's if you take the train, it's like 20 minutes from Wuhan.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Yeah, and then so yeah, I didn't even know about it and in
Mm.
Shanghai until my brother called me. He was like, there's this thing going on. You gotta
Mm.
check your ticket if you could come back. And I still didn't check. And then I just saw a lot of people canceling their trips. And at first I couldn't get a ticket to go back because that was my first experience of buying a ticket in these years during Chinese New Year. And I wasn't good at waiting on the app to grab a ticket. So I
Yes.
didn't get a ticket. And there are a lot of people dropping. And my brother's like, now you can get a ticket. So I got a ticket and then I went back, but he was like, you have to wear a mask. Yeah. So I was wearing a mask on the train. I went back and then like 10 hours I was in my parents' place and I was supposed to meet my brother's family and then he
Mm.
called me up. He's midnight. So I arrived in the morning, midnight, he's like, you have to go. They're gonna lock down the city.
Wow.
Then he just drove me 3 hours to a nearby province to take the earliest train back to Shanghai. And
Mm.
he's like, you don't want to be locked down here. So I came back
Yeah.
here, and I also don't want to be locked down here because
Yeah.
like this is Shanghai. I had a small studio apartment, and I'm a very outdoorsy person. And
Mm.
I just moved here like a few months ago. I had
Right.
not many friends. And then I'm like, I gotta get out of here. It's a good excuse to go back to Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to Malaysia, but I had to apply for a visa. It took at least 3 days, so I'm like, I'm just gonna go to Thailand. So I went to
Right.
Thailand. Yeah, I went to Thailand and wanted to stay there for let's say 10 days and go to Indonesia,
Mm.
but Indonesia denied my entry because of the situation.
Mm.
So I just stayed.
Yes.
I stayed in Thailand for 50 days until mid-March, and my brother was like, "You have to come back. They're gonna shut down the borders." So I came back like a week before the borders got shut down. Then I was here, but this lockdown I didn't do well. This one's my first lockdown. I was never locked down.
Right.
This past one was terrible.
Yeah. Well, actually, tell us about this because I left for both times. So, what did you do? I noticed that you started like a blog or like a podcast thing where you were interviewing people during that time. Is that something that you were doing to sort of pass time?
This one we did online comedy.
Right.
And I think, yeah, for at least a month. That kept me busy, but I don't think I still don't think it cannot, it cannot cancel out the damage, you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
As I said, I'm very outdoorsy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's, it's just I think for anybody that's outdoorsy, that constantly meets up with their friend, they got things going on, they got yeah, they're very very active. It's just hard. You could pretend that I got myself busy doing this and that,
Hmm.
but still, yeah, it's just very it's a lot of damage.
And you know what? When I think you get a more of appreciation of when you do get out,
Mm.
because like when I was locked in, it was like, okay, I'm organizing for this, and this, but I couldn't get a date. But it was like, okay, here are the things I want to do. And as soon as I got out, I was like, right, I've done my 10 days quarantine. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Had a bunch of plans. So when it opened up very recently, I've noticed that the comedy scene in Shanghai has slowly started to sort of get back together. So can you talk a little bit about that?
It's slowly getting back together, but
Mm.
we lost several good comedians.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, and also I think people are getting their life back together. I cannot speak for everybody, but I am not fully back.
Yes.
I'm not fully back emotionally. It's and also now it's back again.
Yeah.
There are a lot of interruptions and
Yeah.
uncertainty, you know, and people experience so much change. There's still, when you do comedy, that's like in here, it's sort of like um, everybody has their day job, you know,
Yes.
and everybody has their life. So when they got their jobs, you know, in check, they got their life in check, then
Mm.
they can do comedy. But if
Yes.
I'm saying if I'm using, I mean, there are a lot of people that use comedy to, um, I don't know, as an outlet to deal
Yes.
with some real life issues.
Hmm.
But I don't think that's how it works for me. I
Yes.
have to be content with my life and work. Then when I'm doing comedy, I'm fully on.
Right.
So if I don't get things in the right place, I cannot do comedy well.
Yeah. And speaking of that, it says here that you've gone to a couple of cities. You've headlined shows as well: Hangzhou, Shenzhen, Nanjing, and obviously Shanghai. So where are you drawing like your material from? Is it from personal experiences? And when I'm trying to do podcasts, I try and stay away from the negatives and keep it sort of like positive and uplifting. But so where do you draw your sort of influences, and how do you put like a set together, like a comedy set?
That's a very good question. I don't think I'm a very good joke writer.
Mm,
Yeah, I don't just sit there and write jokes based on an idea or like, oh, today I want to write about this.
right.
So all my material is pretty much like a real life experience. And then, yeah, living. So that's why living a life is so important for me. If I'm
Yes.
not living my life right, I don't have material.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, right. So that's yeah, I like the fullness and richness of life. And then it could be good or bad. Yeah.
Yes.
It could be like a very exciting life experience. It could be something that, you know, somebody harass you, you know,
Right.
uh, at a train station, which was, yeah, a true story, and I just turned it into, a comedy bit.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how it works for me. And but as I started doing it, I'm learning, I'm learning
Yes.
how to, let's say, to be more observing. And
Mm.
if sometimes there's a piece of news and I had some input and I
Yes.
think it's funny, I would do it.
Yes.
I think, yeah, there are a lot of different types of jokes, and there are a lot of ways of doing it. So I'm also learning.
Right. But you must be getting a bit of a following because like last week or 2 weeks ago wasn't actually the first time that I've seen you. I've seen you a couple of times in the Shanghai. How do you get these shows? Do you have like an agent or a manager?
I am actually got a lot of, as I said, it's a community.
Yes.
It's a community. When I walk in this community, I was welcomed as a new open micer, and I got so much help and
Hmm.
support from those people that have been in the scene for a long time. And everybody that has helped me has been so generous in terms of giving me feedback or in terms of, let's say, hooking me up with some gigs.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the help and support I got from them. Yeah. So basically, if you've done this for a while, it's, as I said, it's a very tight community.
Yeah.
And yeah, if we like, yeah, if I know there's a gig and they need people, I would tell my friends.
Yes.
Same, they would tell me. Yeah.
And what is in your opinion, what is the Shanghai comedy scene like? I'm sure, like with any sort of business, it has its ups and downs, but do you have times where it's peaking, like obviously the weekend, or like if you have like an international sort of comedian come in? I mean, like, tell us a little bit about the Shanghai comedy scene, in your opinion.
I think when I moved to Shanghai, I saw a couple of international comedians, and
Mm,
that was the end of it. And then,
right.
yeah, the pandemic happened. Um,
Mm,
so it's basically just, um, yeah, it's just like within Shanghai. Yeah, and then you can travel to some tier two cities because you do need to have a crowd that understands English.
yes.
And then, yeah, so it's a mix of expats and locals who can understand English.
Mm,
Right. So, yeah, and also now I think there are more and more Chinese people that are interested in English stand-up for a few
yes.
reasons. For a few reasons, some just come for laughs, some come to practice English, some just come for experience. It's a cool event.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a cool event for many people. Yeah, and then comedians wise, as I said, because of the pandemic, and we are having a small number of comedians at the moment, especially
And
the active ones. Yeah.
and is there a backlash there, like with like a Chinese comedian speaking English? When I went to Brazil, uh, a lot of the bands were playing and speaking in Portuguese,
Mm,
but they were telling me that if a band started speaking, like playing and singing in English, that
mm,
they were like, oh, you're against us, you're a sellout, you're not
mm,
sticking to your roots.
mm.
Is that something similar in China, like with speaking, doing English comedy?
Again, I cannot speak for everybody, but
Mm.
I definitely think your proficiency level does make a difference. It could be a good difference, it could be a bad difference.
Mm.
You know, also like to be funny, sometimes you don't have to be the best.
Yes,
You don't have to be the
that's
best
right.
language speaker,
That's right.
right? Sometimes maybe for some people it's the whole package of your
Yes.
persona, your story, the fact that you're speaking a language as a second language. And
Yes.
that's the funny. I have people that made me laugh because the way because of the way they speak a language,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So then I think you just need to find your niche,
Yes.
right? Yeah. But like, because there are also different types of comedians. Some
Mm.
people, some comedians, they just riff, you know.
Yes.
And then you really need to have good control and command of the language,
Yes.
right? If you go that direction. But if you just go by your scripted jokes and these jokes are great and a work with your persona, that's your niche.
Yes. Actually, that reminded me too. I saw on your WeChat you had like part of your set, and there were said like Italian heckler. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
know. I don't know if he was your friend, but every time you wanted to start a joke, he'd want to say something.
Mm.
So how do you deal with something like that? Have you had like experiences in different cities where someone's sort of like, shut up, I want to just tell the jokes, you know?
Oh, thanks for checking them out. Actually, in here I have barely been heckled. People here are pretty nice,
Right.
and they are nicer to girls.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
they're nicer to girls. A lot of people, like for example, Chinese crowd would think, "Wow, you're doing it in your second language, and you're great. You're one of
It's
the few
impressive. Yeah.
locals, and you're the one of the few girls doing it with a bunch of native speakers." That's how they see it.
Yes.
So they're like you're what you're doing is great. So they are actually very, very supportive. Um and also, like when it comes to expat, like can you imagine a white guy sitting there heckling a Chinese girl here?
Yeah.
Right?
That
Because
doesn't
like
make.
yeah, also I think there is something to do with the local culture here. It might happen in other countries as normal. They're like, oh, you're there, you're same as everybody, and sometimes if I heckle you, I want you, I want to see how you deal with that. I want you to be funny. I want you to use that and make it even funnier. I trust
Yes.
that you can do that. Maybe
Yes.
they're challenging you, right? And also they don't mind that, you're doing something harsh but funny to them,
Right.
'cause they
Yes.
have they have a culture of comedy. Here, um, yeah, here is it's new. People are trying to protect comedians as well. I think sometimes crowd want to do
Gotcha.
that too. They're like, oh, everybody's new. I'm not sure if I'm, being a little bit challenging.
Yes.
Not sure if you can handle that. So I better not
Yes.
do it. Right.
And that's how I felt like when I was watching some of the newer comedians there that were trying out at that open mic. I wanted to laugh for
Mm,
them, and
mm,
they were just stumble. Yeah, I know it's all experience as well, but I was wanting to laugh and just give him some support, you know. You just want to hear that laugh, like a little bit of
Yeah.
a laugh, and get a bit of an acknowledgement. Speaking of that, you actually won an award, New Faces Award 2021.
It was, it was as I said, it's a lovely community. I think the organizer Ian Badenhorst, I don't know if you've seen him.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, he wants to encourage younger, newer comedians, to to do well. So he got us a sponsor. Um, yeah,
And I
and
think I was actually at that show as well, where you won the award, right? It was like
yeah,
I
you
was
were
at that one as well. Yeah, I was there as well. Yes.
yeah, and then so he got us a sponsor. There was prize money. It was all yeah.
It was down to you and the American guy, and you
There
won. And you won, or,
uh,
or like with the voting,
yeah, there were three guys. There were three of us. I was
right?
surprised because I thought like Han, was another Chinese guy actually. He did really well, and there was an
Yes.
American guy.
Yes, the
Yeah,
American
he did
guy.
very
Yeah.
well
For
as
the
well.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he was having dress. I was completely surprised. I was shocked. I didn't know. Yeah, but it was it was lovely because we
Yeah.
sort of like were kind of a new. Um, I wasn't that new in terms of how long I had been doing it on and off, but I took quite a few breaks.
Hmm.
So but it was a very exciting experience. That energy,
Yeah.
all of us cheered for each other. We all wanted the whole thing to be a good show, and we
Yes.
wanted everybody to do well. There was, I think, 12 of us, or if I'm not mistaken. That was great. I hope it happened this year again. You
Yeah.
know, so people get, you get competitive. You also get, you want yourself to do well. You also want others to do well.
Yes. What does the future hold for you?
Oh, I like it when it's uncertain.
That's
Yeah.
good.
And also, I think we have all learned that there's no use to make plans now.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Right.
right. The plan is that we're gonna go back into lockdown eventually sometime.
I actually never planned anything.
Long
So
term.
I've never,
Mm.
I, my life now was nothing that I had ever envisioned.
Right.
So I like it to, not know it.
But that's great. What advice would you give to like a up and coming inspiring comedian that
Uh,
wants
I'm
to do what
still
you're doing?
I'm still new. I'm still very new. But if somebody uh, is interested in doing comedy,
Hmm.
um, just keep doing it. Don't stop.
Well, I think what you said also is that there's not just one particular comedian. There's all different styles. Like you said, there's a guy that just writes down different jokes, and one talks, oh, I saw this the other day, talking about stories and relating it to us. So I think that, yeah, it's all different. Go to those open mics and just try it out. If it doesn't work, try to do something different. So
Yeah.
that's what I think. Social medias and where can we find you, especially for our Australian listeners? How do we find you? How do we find your comedy?
I actually have not really posted stuff online because I'm relatively new. I don't want to burn my materials.
Right.
Uh, yeah, but in here we use so much WeChat, so I do have WeChat channel, and you have my WeChat. That's I'm very bad at social media. Yeah, I cannot manage, let's say, Instagram, YouTube, all of this. I just
Yes.
don't, I'm very old school. So if I just post something on my WeChat moment, if, if I make some, I don't know, videos, or if
Mm.
I decide to upload a clip, yeah, but yeah, that's usually where I put my stuff. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Before we go, I just asked a couple of quick questions. You give me your top two or three as of today. Don't think too hard about it. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. So music. Give me your top 2 or 3 favorite artists or band of all time.
All right. Let's say I'm listening to Burna Boy,
Yes.
and then I like James Blunt.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And I think Beyonce is pretty good.
Your top 3 favorite movies of all time.
What was that movie? Directed by Mel Gibson. Apocalypse.
Apocalypse Now.
Yes. Okay. That one was good. I think Good Will Hunting.
Oh, come on. Great movie.
Damn, I was watching Titanic the other day. So
Come on.
right.
Classic. And books. What are the
Books.
top 2 or 3 favorite books of all time that you've read?
Okay. Eat, Pray, Love.
Mm.
Okay. The Kite Runner. And I like Michelle Obama's book, Becoming.
All right. What's your 3 favorite international cities that you've visited and 3 cities that you would like to visit or 3 countries that you'd like to visit in the future?
Okay. I like Bali. I like Thailand, everywhere, anywhere.
Mm.
And I went to St. Petersburg and I liked it.
Oh, yeah, right.
All right. 3 cities that I would love to visit.
Yes.
LA. Somewhere in New Zealand. I'm not sure which city. Yeah, New Zealand.
You
Yeah.
can spend many days in New Zealand, so many islands. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and London maybe. I have friends there.
Australia.
I would. Yeah, New Zealand,
If
Australia.
you go to New Zealand,
Yeah.
you got to go
Yeah.
to Australia. Come on.
For sure.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever had?
The best piece of advice I've
Mm.
ever had. I think it's pretty recent. Love yourself.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's good. Your top 2 or 3 favorite comedians?
I like Chris Rock.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Michelle Wolf. She's brutal.
Who's she? American?
Yeah, she did Trump's correspondence dinner. And
Oh,
but she
yeah,
was not
right.
there. She was not there, but she was awesome.
Who is your greatest inspiration/hero and why?
I think my mom. Yeah. She's funny. She's pretty. She selfless. She's smart. She's loving. I think she's everything.
All right, Ying, thank you very much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Great comedian. If you're in Shanghai, check her out. I hope that Shanghai opens up so all the entertainment can get back to normal and we can start going to see shows, comedy shows, because the best medicine is laughter. In my opinion, good luck. Go from this Face Award from 2021. And I love that you're promoting the new comedy in Shanghai. I think that's really great, and all the best for the future.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm only doing things that other people have been doing for me. So yeah, and thank you so much for having me.
No worries.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
大家好, I'm Bala from Bala Simple Chinese School. If you are a beginner, intermediate, advanced, looking for HSK study, business Chinese, or simply want to improve your everyday communication, I'm the teacher for you. Come and join me for a free travel class at Bala Simple Chinese School.